Welcome to Coaching for Creatives with Kirsten. My name is Kirsti Call. I'm a therapist-trained life coach and a children's book author. Together, we'll get the drama out of our lives and onto the page. Let's get started. You are listening to Episode 18, Perspective. Last Sunday, I found myself in a peculiar position. My husband had been cleaning up after a baptism at the church and had thrown away someone's cookie cutters. Admittedly, they looked like they could be spacers or something else entirely disposable, but they were not. And when the owner of the cookie cutters asked about their whereabouts, Daniel realized he just must have thrown them away. By some unfortunate luck on my part, he forgot about this entirely until later, when he was conveniently at home and I was conveniently at church. He oh so politely texted me and asked if I would dig in the dumpster to retrieve the trash bag where he knew he would find the cookie cutters. Dumpster diving. I thought I'd never experience it, especially in high-heeled sandals and a dress. I walked to the dumpster, my head held high, hoping no one would see me. I actually had to climb the side of the dumpster, balance precariously with one high-heeled sandal, and lower my entire upper body into the dumpster. The bag I was looking for was small and at the very bottom. An unpleasant smell accosted me as I realized I would have to balance on my waist in order to reach the bag. I imagined myself slipping and falling, which only made me more determined to keep my balance. With a wiggle and a hop, I caught hold of the bag and pulled myself out of the dumpster. I held it away from me, practically ran to my car, furtively looking around to see if anyone had witnessed my trash-stealing shenanigans. Phew! No one was around. I breathed out because I was quite relieved, and I threw the bag into the back of the car and drove home to allow Daniel the privilege of searching the trash for the cookie cutters. He did find them and wash them, and they are now at this very moment on my kitchen counter, waiting to be delivered safely to their owner. You know the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure? This was the literal truth in this case. Daniel took what he thought was trash, threw away some very useful and serviceable cookie cutters. Anyone like crumble cookies? They cut crumble cookies into perfect quarters. Really good cookie cutters. So there's a lot to be learned about perspective from this experience. Number one, pay attention to what you throw away. Had Daniel really looked at what he was discarding, he would have realized he needed to keep the cookie cutters. Sometimes in our hurry to make something happen, we throw away things we should be keeping. Sometimes we throw away things that are really useful, like rough drafts or ideas or tools that help make us better creatives. What are you throwing away that perhaps you should be keeping? Is your perspective different from someone else's? Do you throw away things other people might see as valuable? Number two, pay attention to what you keep. Daniel ended up bringing home a few extra crumble cookies from the baptism. They were scrumptious and delicious. Who doesn't love a crumble cookie? But the temporary pleasure of a cookie is not exactly healthy. I love cookies, by the way. They are actually my favorite. But too many cookies can cause discomfort, right? If Daniel had thrown away the cookies instead of the cookie cutters, I would not have had my dumpster diving adventure. Nor would I be telling this story on my podcast. So I think what happened was exactly right. But when you are looking at your art or writing or creations, what are you keeping? Are you willing to kill your darlings for the good and power of your creations? Does your perspective differ from other people's? What helps you know you should keep a certain word or turn of phrase in your books? Number three, if you ever see someone dumpster diving in church clothes, there must be a good reason. Perhaps your perspective on the crazy lady who is digging through trash will change in the future. So what changes our perspective? I told a story about my son James and his broken ankle last week. How he couldn't march in the band anymore, how it felt terribly horrible at the time, and then he tried out for a musical, and suddenly the broken ankle felt auspicious, lucky even. This is the power of our thoughts. This is the power of perspective. We get to choose how we think about things. We can be intentional about the neural pathways we build in our brains. Here are some ways to open our minds to different perspectives. Number one, ask yourself, is there another way to look at this situation? If you have a critique partner who tells you your story is no good, you can feel bad and give up on the story. Or you can think to yourself, now I have a better understanding of how I can improve the manuscript. Number 2, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Before you decide if something is worthwhile or not, think about how someone else might see the situation or the project or the idea you have percolating. Number 3, think outside the box. Consider all the possibilities. Don't assume something is discardable right away. Don't assume something is useful right away. Give yourself time to brainstorm, to think, to create your perspective, to revision your vision. When we open ourselves up to other perspectives, we broaden and deepen our understanding and connections with other people. We allow diversity of thought and feelings to infuse our creativity. We become more inclusive, more loving, more creative. So, as you go about creating, give yourself space to feel more than one way about something. Allow yourself to find more than one right way to think and do things. Give yourself permission to rethink your perspective. I guarantee your perspective will surprise you. Until next time, keep smiling. If you like what you've heard, check out my Get Yourself Unstuck program. Go to KirstiCall.com. That's KirstineCall.com and schedule a free consultation today. Coaching for Creatives is produced by Kirsti Call. Music and audio engineering by James Call.